Call the Village of Lake Park October 8th, 2024 public hearing to order, and Councilman Jim Record will offer the invitation.
Lord, thank you for gathering us here today. Bring us together to act in the best interest of Lake Park and all its owners. We ask you to oversee the devastation that occurred earlier this month. We ask you to bless the survivors, the first responders, police, fire, EMS, humanitarian aid workers, everyone who donated money, supplies, time, and machinery to help those who suffered as they begin to rebuild the damaged infrastructure and municipalities from Hurricane Helene. Prayers for the residents and first responders in the state of Florida as they try to recover from the first hurricane and to be hit with a second hurricane, Milton, as we speak right now. Lord, we humbly ask you to hear our prayers.
Amen. You would rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We've got a pretty quick public hearing unless you guys have a lot of questions about this hearing as we go through it. So we'll try to get right through it. And I'll turn it over to Steve, who will go over this proposed UDO text amendment.
Sure. So this is our proposed UDO text amendment. It's Article 2.3 Planning Board. And I'll just go through the sections it's changing, and I'll let you know what words are changing. They're actually highlighted in red or marked through. 2.32 is membership, and then we're adding in qualifications in that line. Those membership qualifications, terms of appointment. Section A, it did read the planning board shall consist of 5 members. We're changing that the planning board shall consist of 5 regular members and 2 alternate members. Alternate members shall be seated and serve in the same capacity as a regular member during a regular or special meeting of the planning board in the absence of regular members. 1 or more alternate members may also be seated temporarily to hear, decide, and make recommendations on cases which require the temporary disqualification of a regular member. Section B, this is the next section under qualification, marking out these and putting in all members. And then at the end of that, we're adding in at the time of their appointment, we're marking out the section that says, and shall be appointed by Lake Park Village Council to add any members who establish permanent residency outside of the corporate limits of the Village of Lake Park shall be disqualified from membership on the planning board. Section C of that section under 2.32, we're marking out this part that says, upon the effective date of this ordinance, the term of the current members of the Village of Lake Park Planning Board shall continue until the date of expiration is set forth in their initial appointment. Further, we're adding in the Village Council shall appoint regular and alternate members to the planning board. Appointment shall be, and then we go through the term there on that. Section 2.33, we're adding in alternate members shall be seated in the place of absent regular members to constitute a quorum. Section 2.35A, we're adding in regular and seated alternate members. B, we're adding in again regular and seated alternate members. C, we're taking out the piece here said the chairman of the planning board or vice chairman serving in the role in his, we're changing his to the chairman's absence. Our temporary disqualification shall vote. And we're taking out as any other members of the, and then only matters before his, we're adding in. Then 2.4, Board of Adjustments. 2.41, we're adding in the Village of Lake Park Planning Board shall serve as the Board of Adjustments in accordance with the provision of NCGS 160D/302B. We're striking out section 2.42. Then we're changing 2.43 to 2.42. and adding in there, alternate members shall be seated in the place of the absent regular members to constitute a quorum. Then we're taking out, we're changing 2.44 to 2.43. We're changing 2.45 to 2.44. Section A, we're adding in seated. Section B, we're adding in seated as well. And in 2.46, we're changing to 2.45, 2.47, we're changing to 2.46.
Ms. Judy, any public comment on this? Any other council comments, anybody? We'll talk about this in a regular agenda and determine whether you guys want to amend the UDO or not. If there, this time, is there a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Second.
Steve made a motion, Bruce second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion. This time we'll call the October 8th, 2024 Village Legislature regular council meeting to order. Public comment, Ms. Judy, anything under the regular agenda for you? Then we've got Mr. Harold up. I've got controller for you. Get this started. Make sure it's all right.
This is the backup one.
Yeah, because the original plan didn't work.
Make it smaller. Yeah, you can make it smaller. Plan B. Oh, we're on the city.
Just raise our taxes, sir. We understand.
That means I can't raise taxes.
Yeah, because I don't remember them fast. Let me,
Oh, I'll call
I
it.
may be able to log into my personal account.
if I can get to my Gmail on here, I can change that access. Let me,
I just want to put you on the hotspot for a moment.
And I'm fine.
all right, back to the regular meeting, October 8th, 2024, Village of Lake Park Council. Next item on the agenda, approval of minutes. 3 has sent around the closed session minutes, and the September 10th regular session minutes were in your package. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion for this.
Mark made a motion, Bruce second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The consent agenda was updated late Friday. Is there any items on there anybody wants removed? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve as presented.
Jim has made a motion. Mark second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Changes to the agenda for tonight. I had mentioned in an email that if we didn't hear anything else from our outside attorney, we probably could strike the closed session. We've not heard any further. So unless any of you guys have anything you want to talk about on that subject, we can strike that. Here's none, we'll strike item 15. Anything else? Any other changes, additions, or deletions? Is there a motion to amend, to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make a motion to approve this amendment.
Steve made a motion, Jim seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Sheriff statistics, Deputy Head.
For September, 327 self-initiated calls, 24 traffic stops, 229 preventive patrols. And I don't see anything to be worried about on the stats. It appears no break-ins or not even a car break-ins for the month. So that's good. Hopefully it becomes the normal
Right.
again. And 2 alarms.
Any questions for Deputy Head?
Like 26 traffic stops, we've been hitting 57 for months and months and months.
Bailey stops a lot of cars and he was off for, I think, 7 working days.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah.
All right, we appreciate you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Same item, we would like to officially welcome Deputy Emily Tatro, I think it's Tatro, to, as one of our contract deputies, 14 years with the Sheriff's Department in many capacities. She also is an Army veteran. She's, I don't know for sure that she signed up. I did speak with Lieutenant Mayhew, and he said the next radar class was in January, and that's where they were shooting to get her into that class out at SPCC. I did email back and forth with him about traffic stops and us having somebody that's not radar certified again, because it's happened several times. And he initially said he didn't think it'd be a problem. He would get the traffic unit from Indian Trail to come over and run some traffic. After some discussions with basically their chief, which their captains over Indian Trail, there was concern pulling a contract deputy from another town, which could skew the numbers in that town for what they're supposed to be paying for would be done. And I told him there's been some discussion of when this happens, are we truly getting everything we're paying for with the deputy? And he understood it completely. So he had met with the sheriff and with the county safe unit. That's traffic unit that runs in the county everywhere. And they didn't see any problem and said they would send the safe unit over here for a few hours a week to work traffic in Lake Park. So tell your spouses to make sure they're abiding the traffic laws. True traffic police should be in here working a couple hours a week. You know, Deputy Tatro and I talked, and Lieutenant Mayhew said he had told her as well. I mean, just because she's not radar certified, she can still stop people for other violations, which I think she's been doing. I think the first day she was here, somebody posted and said, "Welcome to this new deputy, and by the way, make sure you stop at stop signs."
Yeah.
So hopefully, go ahead.
I'm sorry, is she radar, not radar certified or LiDAR?
Neither radar nor LiDAR, yeah. She has been before because she's been on patrol. She's been the most recent a school resource officer, I believe. And she's been in the detective bureau, rotated herself around. She did tell me that her goal is promotion. I mean, that's what she's looking for. And I think part of that is coming back to patrol to get more experience in the patrol side of things.
So in February, she'll get promoted and go to something else probably.
It could happen, that's for sure. I don't know what they're.
Hey, you look at it that way, I mean, but it seems like this is a good training ground for people. And especially, I mean, I think we should get a discount if they're not radar, LiDAR.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, basically how I laid it out to them, is there had been discussion, among council in previous times whenever we've lost somebody that is certified. And so hopefully we're getting what we're paid for in return by the safe patrol being over here. I believe that when they stop somebody in Lake Park, even if they're not one of our deputies, it's where they register the stop at. We should see that on our monthly report.
Correct.
So we'll see next month. This 24 has nothing really to do with her coming with this from last month, but it's all about Deputy Bailey being out. So we'll see what those numbers look like next month. And I don't have any problem, talking back to him again, depending on how our numbers look. His exact words in his email where I think you'll be pleased and see that there's not much difference in the traffic stops. That's how he worded it. Basically, Sheree, correct?
Yes, sir. I will say that I've had several people, when they've been in here for other things, to tell me that they like seeing her out walking. That she's appeared, that she walks up on kids because she's not in her vehicle, they're not expecting her. That she doesn't hesitate to say something if something needs to be said, or, just getting to know them and all, so.
I talked with her at National Night Out, and she told me that she was not gonna be riding around in the car the whole time.
No, she says she can't do
Get
that.
out.
There's also a rumor that they're going to have a bike school in Indian Trail that they're putting together, and if that's the case, then it would be nice to have both of our deputies do that and get them.
Like, sir.
Yeah, it seems
She
crazy.
also said she wasn't real interested in that too.
Oh, well, she's probably not, but and if she's out walking, it doesn't, I don't care how she moves around, but.
Right. I emailed the sheriff, the chief deputy, and Lieutenant Mayhew, and told them we've been kind of spoiled with Bailey and Headland, because they really have connected with our community, I felt like. At a community policing, some people hate to hear that word, but I feel like they've done a really good job at it. And I believe she will too. We just
Yeah.
Get through.
You're not hearing that no one's seeing her, so that's very nice.
All right, item 7, finance officer report. Sharon.
Okay, you have the September reports. By the way, the tall bill, the first half came in and it came in over what we budgeted. It came in almost 59,000. And we had budgeted 110 for the year, so we'll be a little bit over, which is good. Other than that, I don't think I have any problem areas.
Any questions for Cheryl on finances? Thank you, Cheryl. Stormwater, Christopher Channel, Sheree.
Okay, so it has been determined by the engineer that a concrete swell or a mixture of concrete and riprap to try to slow the water is appropriate for the channel. The village has requested quotes from 3 companies, and the contractors none of the 3 contractors have responded other than to say that they feel like they need more information. So based on that, we reached out to Warren Jennings Land Surveyors to get a quote for an up-to-date survey of the channel. So we know exactly, that's been one of the things the guys are, we don't know how far or what the flow of water, how far we've got to dig down to set the concrete to know how, for the flow of water. So Warren Jennings Land Survey has provided a quote of $4,350. And then I reached out because I was reading his quote, and it says that the channel's got to be mowed, is the term he used. Well, you can't get a mower in Christopher Channel. I don't know if you've been over there or not, but that's not gonna happen. It's gonna have to be weed eated. So I talked to Scott Staub about weed eating the channel and what that would cost. And he provided me with a figure of about $1,200. And we also I received notification from John Rosna, that we have used our 8 hours. So from this point forward, which he's going to have to review the survey drawings and all that Warren supplies, we will be charged per hour for that. And I don't know how long that will take.
How many hours did we approve? I know we did more than.
We did approve some more than, and at this point, I'm not asking for an hour, and I'm sorry, I can't tell you that off the top of my head.
I have a dumb survey question.
Yes, sir.
we're paying $43.50 to get another survey of an area that we already know the borders of, correct? This is Greatmore or,
Yeah, it's got to come out wider. And so it's also got to go, you know, once we remove the riprap and all, it's not the same depths.
so it's more of elevations and
Yes,
stuff
sir.
rather than boundaries.
Correct. No, we know what the
That's what I
boundaries are,
figured.
yeah,
Okay,
but
yeah.
the boundary is really not the issue. It's the depth and
Gotcha.
getting across.
Does the village own that property or is it owned by the homeowners?
It's owned by the homeowners. We have a utility easement through there. So what you would be looking at on this project, I feel like a very good ballpark, because I don't have a number from any of the three companies, is you're looking probably $150,000. Now, if you, and the reason that I'm kind of asking for a ballpark at this point, if we could go ahead, get the project, we eat it, eaten, and get it surveyed, get the utilities marked, and have the meeting with Union Power, because we don't know where the main power lines, I mean, they mark the lines, but you don't know if it's a secondary or a main. And we're gonna have to have cable, and we know in 2017, when we did this, we did the first of this channel, there are cable lines all over the place. I mean, if we cut cable once, I guarantee you, we cut it about 6 times over there. And it wasn't that it wasn't marked, so, if we got all of that done, and we were to have 10 days worth of dry weather, maybe we could get this project done before the end of the year. Otherwise, you're looking at best March, April. I don't see any way, unless, last year in February, we did have a period where it was dry for about 2.5 weeks. But, you know, in order to be able to take advantage of any dry weather, we're gonna have to be ready.
I think the Farmer's Almanac said this year's will be a wet winter.
Yeah, you know, and so it may very well be that here we are, we have everything ready, but we're waiting until June. Who knows? Mother Nature has been very interested. It's a lot of money, and I know it's a lot of money, and I seem to be coming to the table all the time for money.
Well, it's better to spend this than less 3 times.
Yes.
You know, keep on working on it, and do it.
Well, and I was gonna say, the other option would be, you know, to have Lucas cut it down and just kind of deal with it, but
Not really.
it's not really an option because it's impacting people's property. It's impacting the way the water is from the storm drains from the streets on either side.
You know, anything, we know that prices don't go down over time either.
No.
So.
Nothing has gotten less expensive.
Where would we get the money for this? We don't have it in stormwater.
We do not have it in
We
stormwater.
have to appropriate funds for it.
We would need to appropriate funds.
Just from fund balance, or
Yes, sir.
I'll make the motion to approve, to move $150,000 from fund balance to stormwater. And then make the motion to, or we need to go ahead
Do that.
and we'll make that motion.
Yeah, I just want to point out one thing that you hadn't seen before is in the audit, I update the restricted fund balance for stormwater, and we do have 21,639 here if you want to use that.
So if we move 130,000 right now.
We moved that in consent agenda tonight already.
It's already
That's
moved.
what you had told me to do.
Yes. Never mind. So right now, we have Joe Scaldera moving fund balance to stormwater. 150,000.
And second. Any further discussion? On that? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any opposed? Better ask this.
Because now I will make a motion to spend up to $150,000 to update the Christopher Channel.
Jody made a motion, Jim second. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Only comment I make is when the three quotes come in, make sure you're comparing them.
Oh, yeah.
Could
And
be
we're
totally
trying to
different.
make sure we're doing it.
You probably have one here and one here, and somebody in the middle. It's not always best to go here or here.
Yeah.
Did we, this resolution, where did we do that at?
Well, since we are going to be using a new survey company, Warren Jennings Land Survey, there was laying on the top of your packet a resolution that we will need to adopt. Ken sent us an up-to-date one on the Christopher Channel.
And basically, this is just saying that Cheryl had made a point that any survey, and there's a few things, help me out here, surveying, it's
Engineering.
Engineering.
Architects, engineers, and surveyors, yeah, the first dollar you have to either do an
Design
RFP.
builds, their design.
any design, yeah, it's the same thing we talked about when we talked about the building the shelter out there, but if there's moving parts to it, right?
Well, it's architect, I'm sure it was lobbying, it was architectural, engineering, or.
Surveying, design builds, there's some of the construction based.
It basically says you gotta go through the whole RFQ process, but because of our size, a municipality, we can.
Well, based on the size of the project.
Yeah, exactly, the side, I think we've used previous, resolutions that reference the size of the village, that I think was in play at some point, but it doesn't appear to be now, it appears to be strictly related to the monetary threshold, which is 50 grand. And so Cheryl brought up to the mayor the need to have this resolution to exempt yourself from the application of this particular statutory provision. And that's accurate, but there's two different trains of thought about it. One is specifying each and every event that would fall under that category to have an exemption resolution for, versus having what I'll refer to as a blanket resolution that covers kind of everything without specifying the exact project. There's not really been any development in case law that indicates you can't do it as a blanket. And this comes up periodically for years, we talk about it. My philosophy on it is that we've always had amounts that were so low that the risk that came with having a blanket policy and putting it and using it annually really wasn't so great. I think it's asking annually provide this exemption resolution, which is generalized in nature. But I pointed out to the mayor that it's funny, it's come up now, it's not surprising. The projects are getting so big, the amount of money you guys are spending to keep your infrastructure in place is very large. And I didn't know, I sit here tonight looking at what Mr. Jennings' quote was. I told the mayor, you had a couple ways of doing it. Do a blanket and set yourself a threshold, that if it makes this threshold, that specify the individual project, or just have your staff for each and every project that involves one of these types of services, prepare your own resolution that's similar to the smaller one that you have that references a specified circumstance and put it on the consent agenda. But I did that with the mindset of, I don't know why I saw 150 grand as a project. I thought, oh geez, survey, it's gonna be 20 grand, or 30 grand, maybe. But it's not, it's still a pretty low number, at least in my view, relatively. So I'm not so sure you can't just still have a blanket and not really have too many worries about it. But yet, on the other hand, if you want to, be more conservative, I think is how I said it to the mayor in the email today. You want to be more conservative, use the initial, or not the initial, but the kind of more specified resolution that was on top of your back.
Did we adopt the blanket one earlier in the year?
We
Yes.
did for engineering for Rose.
Roads, yeah. But that covered.
But it was the
blanket.
right, it was the blanket version, that's correct.
I asked Ken today what he thought from a monetary standpoint, and just his opinion, if it's more than X amount of dollars, then do a special one, and he said 10,000, and he's just stabbing it.
Yeah, that's kind of throwing a dart at it, yeah.
Cheryl, from your standpoint, as far as the blanket one versus individuals,
The blanket one was new to me. Our engineer at Lake Park, our attorney at Wesley Chapel never brought that idea up. We always did it specifically.
thoughts on continuing with the blanket, if there's a project over 10,000, then doing a special resolution, I mean,
That makes sense.
I'm fine with that approach.
I'm good with that approach.
do we need to get an emotion?
You probably should, yeah.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to adopt
A specified exemption.
specified exemption for, use a blanket, let me see, I'm saying it straight, correctly. A blanket resolution for any projects that are under 10,000 and go to a specific resolution for anything that is 10,000. Can I say 9,999
You
and
just
10,000
said
or
10,000.
above.
I'll second that.
Since made the motion, Steve second, any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Good on that motion, Trey.
Approved, spending the money on this one.
Is the $150,000 inclusive of Lucas's and this survey and tree, or you think?
In my mind, that's what I was thinking, that the 150 was inclusive
Of all
of all of it.
Because we had gotten early on, just a spitball quote of $100,000. But that's before any survey, any elevations.
Yeah.
So the 150, we believe and hope will cover all the little incidentals as well.
So just on the whole subject matter, which you just passed your, threshold amounts on. My instincts suggest, maybe I'm wrong, won't you have engineering fees that might exceed, or is that possible?
Well, so Rosenau's engineering this project.
Oh, that was
8 hours.
Okay,
Free.
okay. I got you.
We're gonna have some engineering.
Right,
Yeah.
I
Because
understand.
he'll oversee. the
Yeah, I
project
think
as
he was
well.
right with where you're at, or if you want to, if it exceeds 10,000, then you can. They're for contraction, they're contract services is what it is, so you gotta have a contract paying for it, so we're one of those bridge.
Cheryl, from an expenditure standpoint, these other little bills up under the 150 approval, that's all right? Or do you want?
Yeah, as long as, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Ken, I'm just curious, the 50,000 that's in the general statutes, is that for all engineering or for all, or, how does that work? Is
Yeah,
it
or,
one project or is it?
Yeah, it starts to become a product, sort of that same blanket thing I'm talking about, which is when you blanket it, it hadn't been challenged, and so there's thought that it's okay. It's the same with that, when you contract with an engineering firm that's gonna be piecemealing projects, whether or not you aggregate them to the extent that it exceeds 50,000 for purposes of being in a non-exempt status, I think the kind of answer is unknown. I think it's unknown, and I think that a lot of, part of the problem, Cheryl, is that laws in government in a state of the United States has the inability to take on the differing aspects of a very large municipal organization versus a very small municipal organization, because these issues are not coming up in front of council. It's staff people that are making the decisions about whether or not to have an exemption resolution put on the agenda or not. And so I think it's a good question. I think it's kind of an unknown answer.
I mean, you could see pretty easily with stormwater in the course of a year, you could have more
You
than
could aggregate
50,000 of
it,
engineering fees.
Yeah.
Sure, I
Spread across.
agree. I agree.
Yeah.
No, I
I
agree.
don't know, I'm just curious.
I think if you had, it was one, I was expecting I don't think I copied you on that email, Cheryl, maybe if I did, maybe I did, I don't know, I know I copied Sheree. I was expecting a little bit of the nastygram, because part of my suggestion was having the staff determine when there was gonna be an amount that, necessitated one little modification on these resolutions and putting it into your consent agenda, which is gonna place further burden on them. you know, to have to identify these things.
What's one more?
Yeah, I think for now, we'll treat it as non-aggregate and see if there's any development, you know, that occurs, or at least that'd be the suggestion, I think, too.
All right, so this time we're adopting the 2-page.
We've already adopted that.
Or,
Is the 2-page the blanket or the
It's the
individual?
blanket.
so are we adopting blanket or the other?
already adopted the blanket one.
You have,
Earlier in the year.
that's correct, you have.
Yes, but does it matter that now we have a different, that we're adding a different survey team? It just
I
doesn't
mean,
matter.
I don't think it does. It is,
Okay.
I mean, I think that you've chosen to initiate this kind of threshold determination, so whether I'm going to deviate from the blanket or not, you're not. This amount doesn't exceed it.
Okay.
So we approved the 2-page,
Correct.
We've already approved that.
That was approved previously.
and this one, we're not even,
No,
Right,
but that'll be for future.
right. You could potentially be using it in the future, yes.
Yes. Over 10. Now, is that a policy? The motion that was made then
Yeah,
is just considered a policy?
I think it's a board policy, right?
Right.
Anything else on Christian Channel? Any questions anybody got? Item B, stormwater mapping proposals, reading for Ken and
Okay. Um, Okay. So in looking around at a way to receive the most, to put it out to the most engineering and architectural firms in the region, I reached out to both my stormwater group and also to some surrounding municipalities and to the School of Government to see, did the School of Government have a place that you could post things that you were looking, projects that you were looking for RFQs on? And the School of Government does not. That's actually against their policy. They will not, they don't have any kind of list. So I found out that Duncan Parnell provides a bid management solution platform that really simplifies the bid process for us. The service accesses more than 1,500 engineers and architectural firm emails in the region. Goes directly to them and they are confirmed that they're received. The cost to post was $150, and I've talked to Jeremy about posting that. And Duncan Parnell has been providing this service for over 14 years. Every firm that downloads the RFQ is provided to us. The bids right now close on October the 17th. And as of today, 26 firms have downloaded the RFQ. And then the village, upon the advice of the attorney, sent both Eagle Engineering and Rosenau Engineering a copy of the RFQ. So that since we do business with them, we didn't want it to be said that we, left them out, that we weren't looking. So that's where we are at this point. And I've been looking at the list. There's a lot of just pure engineering firms. There's several architectural firms that have their own engineering. And so hopefully we're going to, we'll see what next week brings. So I'm excited for that because advertising it in the newspaper was not going to necessarily do anything. Putting it in the Enquirer Journal, let's face it, even the Charlotte Observer is now only delivering 3 days a week.
It's well worth $150.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer.
So, but that's my update as far as that goes. Did you have?
No, that, not, and then the other thing I was gonna say is I think it's great that you know,
done that. I didn't really know that. That's wonderful. And sending it out to Eagle and the other firm, you know them. If you have any other firms, the spirit of compliance with this statute is to invite into consideration as many qualified firms as possible. And so sending it direct and notifying people, that's good too, as much of that as you can do.
So
So
they
tell
can
Sheree,
notify.
say, we know an engineering firm, just send it to them.
The other good thing about using like the Duncan Parnell, when we did it like for building the town hall or whatever, we would send, they called it a plan room, I don't know if it was
Mhm.
Duncan Parnell, but it probably was. If you want to issue an addendum, then you issue that and they post it and then everybody
Gets it.
that has a copy.
Right,
So it's
yes.
almost better to go all through Duncan Parnell
Right,
than to
right.
go piecemeal,
Sure.
because you want everybody to have the same info.
Sure.
Thank you, Sheree. Any questions on that? Trevor Simpson, Lake Park Road.
You ready? Well, we're going to try something new. Based upon Eagle Engineering, Matt Kirshner's guidance, we're going to try a less invasive polyrenewal soil injection process. That will, because a lot of the pipes, the issue is the pipe is not broken, but it's sagging, so the water's not draining. We've had the engineering work done to support that. So we know that they're not leaking, or the pipes are not leaking, it's just that water is sitting in them and not flowing because the support, poor compaction. So we have the company that's going to be doing the work is called Dry Pro. And they will be addressing we've already been and replaced the pipe at Trevor Simpson and Lake Park Road. But one of the biggest reasons and the reason we looked into this process was because the next section that would need to be addressed is very close to the foundation of the house next door. We don't want to be responsible for somebody's foundation if we can avoid that. So Dry Pro has given us a bid of $8,000 for that one. There's a sinkhole that's opened up in Mr. Bob Pagley's yard, and it all lines up from Creft all the way to Mimosa. It lines up perfectly. And so they're recommending that we also do that one. And then in Maureen Hydale's backyard, she has several pipes that come together, and she's got several large holes, and we've got sagging going from from Lincoln to the barn where it's sagging, but the pipe is clear. But that one's $12,000. So I need a motion to approve.
Question on that,
Yes,
so insert flowable fills, polyrenewal soil injection, is there some guarantee that it's going to, what comes with it? I don't totally understand what's there, so.
It's kind of like what you do under sidewalks and to lift panels and driveways and things. Matt, you know, I'm having to go with the engineer. He says.
So they
it
go
should work
underneath
fine.
it and lift it up?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
They
They
start
literally
12 feet
pump.
down. I just point blank asked the question Friday of them. Tell me about this. Is there a guarantee? Tell me what we're doing here. And is this a Band-Aid or is this a permanent fix?
Yeah.
And Matt immediately said he wouldn't be recommending Band-Aids, but he was gonna get some information from them, which he did, and he emailed Saturday. And basically said they start 12 feet down injecting and they come up and over the collars. I think one of these places has 10 collars that need to be raised and supported. So then they'll come all the way up, they inject 12, then they come up 6, 4, 3, whatever. And basically they surround that pipe with sprayable insulation foam is what it is.
It stabilizes everything.
To stabilize the soil.
Yeah, we had a similar discussion with Bruce about sidewalks and pumping them up. Now, this is much more intense and deeper to where Bruce
Yes,
is saying, you know, they don't really last that long. That would be taken care of. This would take care of that.
Something else along with the sidewalks.
Sidewalks are different now, because usually you're dealing with roots that are pushed to sidewalk.
Push them up.
Yeah, you're in a situation where doing dry pro isn't gonna get rid of the roots. You gotta go around the root and replace the sidewalk like we did in the park over here. But you gotta go in and cut out that root, re-soil, and then put fresh concrete in.
It's definitely a different thought process than I think we've tried, but it's
It's less
It's
expensive.
it's certainly less expensive, and Matt said, he said, if the pipe were broke, I would tell you to rip it up and fix the pipe, but the pipe, from their cammering, the pipe's not broke, it's just sagging or whatever's happening below it. And he believes, he stands behind it, his thought is, this is the way, this is the engineer's idea on how to fix these 3 places. Certainly could go rip it up.
Do we have any other costs in these repairs? We're talking about they're in people's yards. Do we have any seeding and backfilling costs on top of all this, or?
I don't really know about the other 2, but I know we asked the question about.
We asked the question of the one on Trevor Simpson and Lake Park Road. Dry Pro really doesn't, when it's all said and done, they leave about 6 inches. But they did not provide us, they don't provide that service. So I'm assuming that we'll have to put down, get Lucas to put down some dirt and seed these spots. But surely, I mean, they should not be, based on what Matt was telling us and all, that shouldn't be a big expense.
Minimal cost. Really.
I assume it's safe for the environment, all those good things we would be asked.
It should be.
They've got to meet all sorts of federal standards and everything in order to use this product.
It's probably worth a try.
I mean, it beats, we've been spending 25 and 30 but we've had broken pipes. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think we fixed anything that we didn't have to fix.
No.
This would have worked for, because Matt would have told us that beforehand.
If we don't do this, it's gonna end up breaking.
It's gonna be a
Yes.
big one, yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
Especially the one that's the 10 or 12 column.
This is I might have wrote this in the email. This is kind of a scenario where the cammering might pay for itself. The pre-cammering, we see that we've got pipe sagging. You get Dry Pro to go in there for $8,000 and stabilize it, instead of 2 years later, it's $25,000 or $30,000 to take the pipe out and fix it. I'm not guaranteeing that, I'm just saying this.
It would not surprise me when the time, if we get to that point, that we're gonna find the need to have to do some Dry Pro down there. But supposedly it's all environmentally friendly. That was one of my questions.
So what do you need from us, Drew?
As far as that's concerned, I need, a motion to approve the repairs on Trevor Simpson, Craft Circle and Lincoln Court.
Should we have the money in stormwater available right now?
I think based on the,
That's 30,000.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think I've only,
You're like a galloping horse and I'm trying
I know.
to follow along.
I think,
Just go
it-
ahead and move the money. We're gonna need it
Gonna need
eventually.
it.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to move 28,000 from the general fund to stormwater. And I'll make a motion to approve these 3 items for 28,000 as well.
I'll second the first motion, sir.
Second, first motion, discussion, Jim, you were saying.
Do we need to do that resolution because this is now 28,000, or how's that?
It's not the type of,
It's not,
service
okay.
contract that applies to this.
As long as it's not an engineer, architect.
Well, that's what I'm saying, I didn't know if it was engineering, is the way we were talking about doing it.
There's been some engineering, but it is gonna be $2,000 or $3,000, it's gonna, it's under.
Unfortunately, that engineering is being applied to this individual project, not aggregating it. I think should away.
Steve made a motion and Joe seconded to move $28,000 from fund balance to stormwater. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And Steve made a motion to repair those 3 locations as noted, 12,000, 8,000, and 8,000. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Joe seconded that. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I have one other thing and I'll go away. So I thought there was a pet waste station in the Alden Pond area, and there is not, and we have had that request. A station is $500 plus installation. So, is council up for putting a pet waste station over there, or you want to not spend the money because I've spent a ton of money, or what is your pleasure?
They get used, people like them.
They do get used.
They get used, but that increases your contract.
We'll have to talk to them to see the limits.
It's not, it can't increase it much.
If I remember correctly from back when because we talked about years ago putting one over there, decided not to.
Well, it's now been the request of the residents that,
Yeah, and I think it was $150 a month.
I'm gonna start a new business then.
Me too.
no,
I want to say 150 comes to my head.
For each one?
It's written in the contract.
would you like to wait till next month and I can look that number up for you?
Sure.
I would rather do it that way.
Table that.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Park and Rec National Night Out event went very well. It was certainly cooler to have it in October. Had a pretty good turnout. The weather, it rained, so we were cut short about an hour ahead of time. We did 2 days prior to that, posted asking for donations for the hurricane relief. And there was a tremendous amount of stuff that got more than I ever thought would show up with 2 days of notice. That picture there was more than that when it was all said and done. So we sent all that. It actually went to Irwin, Tennessee, where that load ended up. So thank you everybody that helped with the event, and certainly everybody that brought stuff for the hurricane relief. Christmas tree lighting will be December the 8th. We put that on your calendars and plan to attend. And then the rental policy was discussed at the last Park and Rec meeting. The website's been updated. There were some little nuances on there. All that's been corrected. And the form is being or will be updated. Basically, PNR was fine with everything that council requested as far as, or not that they have choice, but they were fine with notifications for anything that triggers the COI, and then anything that has for profit will be a council decision on whether it's related to them or not. So all that is in play. Any questions on that?
I don't have anything on that. I want to bring something up during, I guess, Parks and Rec would be the time to talk about this. When I was helping with setting up for the National Night Out, that storage building's a mess.
Mhm.
I don't know how it got the way that it did, but we gotta look into that.
I straightened it out once. Whoever had it messed up had the deputy's bikes intertwined so bad that it took me 20 to 25 minutes just to get them apart separately. They just had to shove them over and everything thrown around.
It would be very helpful, probably not a popular thought, but it would be very helpful if swim team, with the exception of the lane lines, would take their stuff out.
Oh.
And that's probably not a popular thought. Or we need to seriously go through and,
Well, probably the lane lines need to be gone other than during the season, right? I mean,
well, I mean, they could stay in the room, but like their kickboards, their clock, their this, their that, and they've got the corner closest to the bathrooms, but that whole area is a disaster.
if we were to ever do anything in there with restrooms and all that's, you know, depending on the project that we don't even have planned right now. But I know we lightly discussed restrooms in the back of that building for that, and I think other than during swim season, probably all their stuff is not gonna fit there. It's up to you guys, I mean.
Well, something needs to be done with it. I don't know if it was all swim team that did what was done there or what. We are running out of space in the closet and everywhere else, so we,
We definitely need to, and Will Ortiz has said he would be glad to come up with some plan to do some overhead storage and things, but he needs to know what is leaving, so he can, like, it's a disaster.
Is there a motion to ask the swim team, tell the swim team that we need the room?
Why don't we just, without actually making a motion or anything, why don't we just ask them at first to situate and see what they can do with it? And see if there's stuff they can consolidate what they have and do something, and then if we have to move it, then we can do that. But I have a feeling there's a lot of stuff in it that's not being used. That
That
needs
needs
to
to find new homes.
be, and they can do that. And maybe mention to them that, you know, if this gets out of hand, you're gonna have your own storage space.
And
Who else has stuff stored in there?
Garden Club has stuff that probably should be.
Christmas lights are in there.
Christmas lights are in there. And I don't know how organized Henry's got that. It
And then,
doesn't look
there's
very,
stuff- There's a lift, the pool
the
lift is
pool
in
lift
there.
has to stay
It
in.
has to stay, yeah. no,
But
that's in
then
there.
you've got your bicycles, your traffic cones,
So,
the old tables. We did not get rid of because at the time we were using those instead of taking the ones from in here out when we used different projects. But if we ought to go through those tables and I guess find them a home.
so I wanna say about 5 years ago, approximately, it was a mess before. This is not something new, it's just, it goes back and forth. Looked at, with Parks and Rec, we looked at putting in stairs to go on top of the rafters that are there to, as long as you leave some space that it can still circulate, it was fine. And it got shut down at Parks and Rec to try to alleviate some space. I mean, you've got the Christmas lights could go up there. There's no need for them to be on the floor. Used twice, once to take out and once to put back. So there's things that could be raised up, but there was no appetite to do it back then.
We certainly talk about it at the next park and rec meeting.
Well, I think you're also, you gotta purge, what is not being used, get that stuff out of there. And if there's extra stuff the swim team's not using, get it out of there. There's tables we're not using, get that stuff out of there. There's things that, you know, garden club's not using, get it out of there. And then see what you have left.
Yeah, but a lot of it is a matter of whoever is utilizing that garage, when they put things in, they
Put 'em
don't put
back.
things in, they just throw them in, put the
Yeah.
door down and go home. But when I opened it to put, I forget the heck I was gonna put in there were the cones all over the dang place. As I said, the bikes were jammed in and literally spokes and everything were meshed in with the pedals. You know, and there's just no reason for it, it's just people not giving a darn. You know what I mean, polite.
Everything on the floor needs to come out and get pressure washed because of the mud problem from whenever pipe broke. So that might be that's a good reason. for-
Stuff might have got moved around then too, when they had to go through, I think, but they got pushed around, so. Not saying to
It's
blame
a
one person for
combination,
doing
yeah.
it, but you know, the fact of the matter is, it should be straighter than it is. There's a lot of space that we need.
And we could probably get rid of some planning and zoning signs. We haven't used them since we adopted planning and zoning in 2013. But they're nice frames that you would hate to,
Well, those are up against the walls, they're not really.
yeah, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, if you're not, if we're purging you,
I just haven't been in
They're
there long.
expensive, but you have to buy.
yeah, I know, that's the problem. We don't want to get rid of it to have to replace. But anyway,
Our next meeting is October 28th. Our upcoming topics are the cleaning of. Christmas tree, right? Man, we'll see.
Yeah, so we had our planning board meeting on September 17th. Really had a couple of topics we really focused on that meeting. We'd had an individual drop in and want us to consider, one of the planning board to consider changing the fence protocol. You know, they just changed it a year or so ago, how much airflow it has. And they did their homework on that, decided to leave that as it was. I didn't think they wanted to change it at this time in the UDO, to leave it as it was. They changed it last time. We also had a candidate that came to the meeting, Mr. Bob Robert Burnell. He's Sarah, works in the office of Dad, my neighbor, and he's interested in the position to be on the planning board. His experience that he talked about basically was around, I guess he was like a TV announcer or something, and covered a lot of planning board meetings and different meetings in the past. He gained a lot of experience in that, a reporter, and he just wanted to give back to his community and be involved somewhere. So they agreed that, he was a little bit different than they were. I think when I made a comment on the committee that there was another attorney, they probably wouldn't wanted him. There was an attorney that made that comment, so. But, they were open to it. So, I mean, unless anybody has an objection, I'd like to make a motion to approve, Mr. Bob Barnell for the, Planning and Board of Adjustments, Planning Board and Board of Adjustments.
We don't have anywhere in the UDO for the volume of the clock tower in there, do we?
Not yet.
I'll
That's
second the motion
next.
then.
That's next.
Steve made a motion, do a second, any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next topic was the proposed UDO text amendment. I guess I can read this. Is that right? So I'll make a motion to adopt the following text amendment changes to the Unified Development Ordinance. All text changes made and suggested in and to Article 2 of the Village of Lake Park Unified Development Ordinance. These changes are reflected verbatim on the attached sheets and are incorporated by reference that is fully set herein. This motion includes the following findings by the Village Council. The Village Council has found contemporaneously with the motion above that the proposal amendment set forth above to the Village of Lake Park Unified Development Ordinance, which serve as the comprehensive zoning plan of the village, are consistent with the plan and that the proposed amendments serve to ensure, as contemplated by the UDO, that all meetings or members brought before the planning board or Board of Adjustments will be heard by a quorum of the respective board without conflicts of interest and with the reduced risk of councilization due to the lack of quorum. The Village Council also found that the proposed amendment to the Village of Lake Park Unified Development Plan are reasonable and in the public interest by providing local legislation that is consistent with the UDO and creates an increased likelihood of the planning board and the Board of Adjustments being able to conduct business without delay, interruption, or councilization.
You made a motion, is there a second? Mark second, any further discussion? All those in favor of amending the UDO, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Our next meeting also is on October 15th, next week.
Public service waste collection, Jim.
Waste collection, wonderful topic. As we all know, we have some issues with waste pro. Actually, that missing streets, not picking things up, not identifying why they didn't pick things up. Delivering of waste containers, they don't have any, they're getting them, their supply is minimal, zero at times. I did reach out to one of our contacts there, and I'm not getting anything in return. So I am doing to find out what's going on to try to correct what the problems that are happening here. Though the other thing, waste collections are just being pushed to the thing, they're going over and they're just leaving them, they're not following their contract, so. I'm trying to get there and I'll have more for next month.
Can we invite them to the next meeting? I mean, they come to the meeting to sell us the product, right?
I
So
didn't invite them to come up here.
now they need to come hear all the issues, because there is a lot of issues.
Yeah, there's.
I've heard them
there's a
turn
number of
people's trees down this past week after, where the storm blew them down
Mhm.
and, where they're placing trash cans behind cars and things like that.
I will let them be known by voice and by email that they are requested to attend the next meeting.
I was delivering the villager on Thursday, and I actually had to get out of the car twice to move a trash can so I could ride down the street.
So, all right, I'll request them to be here.
I will also let you know that as of Thursday, so starting this coming Thursday, we have a person that their job, as they're out here, is to send notifications, is to improve the communications between us and them. i.e., if they see construction debris, they let us know the house. If carts are not put back, they're supposed to stop and correct that problem. I'm hoping that also will help.
There was, somebody had asked a question and I just stuck it on here because I wasn't sure. Did we ever publish schedules and hand out magnets or did we do?
We haven't handed the magnets out, we haven't ordered them yet, but schedules have been published and been pushed out electronically to everyone. Through our thing and through the HOA did it as well. So they received a lot of information, everyone did. But magnets will be coming for the schedule.
Gotcha. It's definitely been a difference since the,
Yeah.
Yeah,
since the change, I mean.
And I can tell you why. There was a gentleman whose name is Dennis. And Dennis communicated with me and he took pride over everything that he did here. And they have moved him into another position and they haven't had that person since. And we've had that conversation. But we're not alone. City of Monroe's in the same boat.
Yeah, it looks bad on the village and
That's what I
council
told
and the mayor and everybody else, all of us, that here we are, you know, it was published out there, how much the rate went up
Right?
and services have gone tremendously down.
Mhm.
So it looks bad on all of us.
Yeah, and they've heard that from me also.
I'll give you one positive input on. I have a lot of trash. I garden a lot. And I have a corner lot. And Vi, who is the black lady who is in charge of the trucks in this area, has come up to my house personally twice. Because I had bags full of recycle. I've been on the list to get a big bin, because I've had a lot of company this year. I don't consume a lot alone. Well, it arrived and it was put in the proper place on the side of the house, which I had not shown them. And she even had the people, she says, I will have them come and personally move your scraps for you. I didn't ask for it, but Vi has gone out of her way. I think they're trying. This woman that's in charge is really putting in the effort. It can't just be me.
Yes,
I'm
it
not
did.
that level.
I'm saying,
Well, I mean, just like I heard last week, if somebody had a tree that fell across their drive, they had it all cut up, storm, we knocked it down. And they put, there was too much stuff to get. And I was like, well, did they get any of it? And they're like, no, they didn't get any of it. They just put a note out. It's too much to get.
I thought maybe it was bigger in diameter.
They
Because
just
the
said it was too much. He
size-
said the note said it was too much to get.
It wasn't too much to get. 'cause
And they didn't
I
pick up
saw-
limbs or anything. They just left it all there.
We already wasted
Still
these
sitting
left
in
in the
front of
bags,
John
just left.
Hardine's house, half of it. John had a tree down and the pile is smaller, but he's still got stuff.
Yeah.
I think their trucks are full, and I'm thinking with this storm, where are they dumping it?
Oh, they still take it to the landfill.
Yeah,
Because then it's
maybe their
charged.
landfill washed away with a hurricane, you know.
fix the sidewalks, Bruce.
Well, not too many folks chiming in about sidewalk issues. I've got a few, but the biggest thing we took care of were the crosswalks over on Mother Teresa that goes from Trevor Simpson and the other street.
Jamie.
Thank you, Ginger. I never remember that name. And the signs were installed yesterday, you know, pedestrian crossing. They're luminous signs, so at night they kind of hit you in the face. So let's see, hopefully it will slow some folks down. I do have to say that while we were installing one by Trevor Simpson, there was a gal that came up Trevor Simpson. She had to do with 35. Didn't even look left or right, just took off.
Sounds like the lady that almost hit Ken about.
Driving a Burgundy Accord. But anyhow,
All right.
This is what.
Lighting electrical, Joe.
Lighting's been pretty uneventful lately. Been pretty good. Now we're getting ready to get into the weather change time. That's when they always go. So we'll be having a lot of that. We'll ask that we try to keep some of the heat off of Cherie on that. Somebody a couple weeks ago or a month ago posted about a light being out. I said, oh, just call Cherie. She's got better things to do than report a light. You did come in and say, no, you tagged me on it, and then you said, that, somebody else said, oh, you can report it. If we see anything like that, just tell people to report it or report it to me. Doesn't need to go to Sheree. We're trying to keep
It's
some of the
on-
heat off of it.
I never said.
No, it's on the front page of our website. There's a link on the.
There's a
front.
link
All you
right
have to
there
do
on
is
that.
Yeah, I
click
know,
it.
yeah.
It's probably the easiest thing to get to on the
Yeah.
website.
Yeah.
And all, it's right there, so
Right.
they don't need to make phone calls for that, so if you do see that, just try to push them on to either me or just the website, it'd be easier. Ordinance Review Committee, we've, had a change in the mini bike problem. We haven't done anything with the parking ordinance, I'll go in order here first, parking ordinance, we'll be discussing at our next meeting, if we do have that, we're still up in the air on that, it's kind of up to these two right here, actually, of how we're gonna be doing next week with the, tax deadline and all.
I'm good.
I should be there.
Okay, well, then we're gonna have our meeting next Monday, the 14th, 15th, which is the 14th. We'll have it next Monday, we'll go over our parking ordinance, and hopefully we'll have that for everybody. The mini bikes are a proposed ordinance that we sent to, Mr. Swain. He came back and said, well, your guys' description of, mini bikes is pretty much a motorcycle. And he's right, if you go back and look through the general statute, our definition is pretty much what a motorcycle is. So we were going to, at first, just talk with the sheriff's attorney and ask him if they would mind still enforcing our ordinance. And somehow or another, a light just came up on my head one day, and I said, wait a second here. If mini bikes are motorcycles, motorcycles can't be ridden on sidewalks. So I went ahead, looked into it, and it is, section 2160 does prohibit motor vehicles, which a motorcycle and a mini bike do fall under, are prohibited from driving on the sidewalk. So it's actually part of the state general statute, so we don't even really need it. I sent to
Great change.
and it's right there, plain and simple, so we don't need to do anything on it, really. We wasted our time on that one, so sorry. But I did send you the emails on that, so we I talked with Deputy Hedlund about that, he was looking into it a little bit more, but it's, again, it's not something that we just want to arrest people for, it's when we catch them doing it, say, hey, you can't do it, this is why. So,
Do we have something in the statute about all-terrain vehicles or untagged mini bikes on public?
Well, you
on our
know,
Streets?
I did not look into that, but I am sure there is, especially now that, the last couple of years, they did change, the moped law of being untagged. So I'm sure there is, I'll be happy to look into that for you. Do we have any issue for that? We need to.
Oh, yes, the deputies have talked to one young man, had the audacity to drive up and park here at the tennis courts. The deputies talked to him. And he waited till they left and then he drove it on.
I'll check.
To
into
be
that
a
for you.
14-year-old boy must be.
I think it's
something.
illegal, or probably nothing we have to do. I think it's already out there.
I'm
somewhere.
pretty
Well,
sure
it
it's
may
gonna be
be,
in
but
there
we
already.
need to.
Yeah.
At what point do we confiscate that? I mean, what is the law to that? Because I just thought it was real interesting that he,
Well, underage, I don't know.
Were you talking about the one that's in that, the dune buggy type device, or?
No,
This is
no.
the one that you called me about, you saw it sitting there, but
Okay.
they had already seen it, and were coming up here that day. There's four.
Yeah, those are the ones that were going around
yeah,
quite a bit, causing a lot of trouble there.
One question that I just thought about while we've been talking, semi-ordinance review, but it's policy also. What is the plan? Somebody's got to order new golf cart stickers. And then how are we gonna confirm renewal of the insurance annually?
they have to provide them. When they get their new sticker, yeah.
Okay.
Because don't they have to pay me $25?
Yeah, we have to start all
Because
over again.
it has to be inspected.
That's something else we're gonna
and-
discuss in our ordinance review committee on that too. I'm assuming it was good at the same place we got the stickers last time, we'll get them again.
Yeah, we don't need
Those will
as
be,
many.
you can start doing it in December.
Yeah. Yeah, December 1st is when we'll start.
When you make the stickers, you're ready that same day.
Yeah, they were the same day, so it's no
We
big
just
deal
make
there.
it right now.
We'll get those.
Technology, Joe?
All right, we talked last month about going to electronic payments for the pool, adding something for that, did a little bit of work into it, Sheree looked into it. the company that we're currently using now can add a line to the menu for pool passes. I kind of think that's still gonna be a little too difficult, but I want people, I'd like to ask you guys to look into it. It's on the front, on the webpage where it says make payments. It's on the bottom right-hand corner.
It's on the left, far left, right underneath the,
I would,
it says pay to pay now or pay
yeah,
now.
and it opens up another page that goes to it. You select the municipality and what you're paying. And you go there and you enter your credit card in there, and then they can enter your credit card and either A, show a copy of it on the phone to the attendant, or print it out and show it to the attendant, is what the proposed idea is.
I was just trying.
Those would be my question. How would the people at the pool know? So you answered that.
Now, Sarah did come back with something at one point, I haven't followed up on this at all, where there could be a QR code set up.
Mhm.
And if, maybe that would be simpler, if we could have a QR code, because A, we could have that printed on something that is right there and they just go right to it, QR code, boom, go right to the page where they're paying what they pay, and then it's done. Or even they could do that from home and still have it, and have it already done beforehand, and then show it to them.
We were just trying to find a way that was.
That would be the
least
easiest way,
expensive.
because we already have a relationship with that provider, and we don't have to do anything. But we still have time, so I'm just asking you guys to look over the system, the payment system, go on the webpage, go to the one where it says payments, look at it and see if you see what you guys think.
Did y'all ask them about their ability to create, for us to have a QR code that you scan and go straight to that page?
I did not. Sarah was doing that part for me, but I did the other part on, bank account and how that would work.
I can discuss that with Sarah, and she can reach out to the same person to do
Yes.
that. And her and I can work on that together, you won't have to worry about that part.
I have a question. So if somebody goes and buys 5 passes and they have the sheet that shows that they bought them, what's to prevent them from using them this week and next week?
Oh, it has to be the same date.
You
The
have to buy
day
the pass on the same date?
that you're going, yes.
It's a walk up, instead of paying cash, it's a walk up, you just pay electronically for that walk in that day, that's it.
I didn't know you had to buy them the same day.
Yeah, it would have to be purchased the same day.
I think it's a valid point
That's great.
in why this
Could happen.
might not work.
Mhm.
So you won't be issuing any free passes for advance payment.
We'd have them as well too.
You
But
can
this
still
would just
come
be for
in
somebody
and
that's
buy them.
walking, when they're walking up. Now, somebody wanted to buy the additional passes like they have in the past,
Come here and
they
buy
could
it.
buy them still the same way, if they want future
Right.
passes.
Because they have to surrender
But they
them.
have
when
to
they
use
use
them
Right.
the same
Right.
day.
Correct, yes.
No.
No.
Currently, we have
I
walk
mean,
ups
you
today.
couldn't buy them and gift them if you wanted to.
Those would be the ones that the tree has.
Right. So
This would just be for somebody that's walking up to pay right there and right then and there. Just like right now, if they have $10 to walk up, instead of having to have $10, they can use a card. I wouldn't doubt at all that it will be moving right into just being all that way and taking cash all out of it all the way together, so. Make sure we look at this and figure it out right, so we can just do that. Any other questions on that?
It'll actually cost them $11.
Or like, well,
That's
that's
their
another thing
problem,
too.
that's
If you
their
remember last
convenience.
year when we were setting rates, we didn't want to change it because we were worried about change. And all this would take that whole problem. Just take that all out, credit
Don't
cards.
you have to offer the option of paying cash?
No, you don't have to. That was on the news recently. Because people were complaining that some places had gone to no cash.
Yeah.
So there had been some challenges on, they have to accept cash, and the answer was no, you didn't have to.
Your money is absolutely no good at Bank of America Stadium.
Bank of America.
Yeah,
Ain't nothing but credit.
credit card only. You can't use cash anywhere in that place.
The
Wow.
only thing we should probably look at is to make sure as a government entity, we can't do that.
Right.
But I bet you can.
But you're still offering cash. You're not taking that option away.
Right now, yeah, we're still offering, yes.
It's just when somebody walks over and says, I don't have cash, how can I get a pool pass? Well, you can pay with your phone. And I'll give you a pool pass for the day.
And that happens more and more.
I think Joe's right, you're gonna see this thing move towards electronic, which is good for several reasons. It takes,
We don't have to
she
count
came in with
money.
$4,000, for one weekend. They gotta sit in their account.
Count it and go to the bank, everything, take all that less,
It's just,
see how it works.
Yeah.
The Next thing, Ring Central, I've got a new menu that we've added extension 6. Again, this is something talking with Cherie about something to try to take some away from her. It's my main thing with the whole Ring Central menu was to try to make things easier and to go there. So I talked with her, one of the things she's getting a lot of phone calls on was trash. So extension 6 now is trash. You can tell people what they're calling on that. And it will 24/7, it'll automatically forward it to Jim Records' cell phone. And just kidding. It goes automatically to Waste Pro.
Yeah.
So you call it, hit extension 6, next thing you know, the phone's ringing again, and you're talking to somebody at Waste Pro. So Mark, when somebody asks now about trash,
We need
Call it.
medical.
call extension 6, and it goes right there. Hopefully that'll take some time and less things to deal with there.
It's appreciated.
It's been for a couple days, but we haven't had trash yet, so I figured it hadn't been used yet, but I did set that up. It's ready to go. And there are while I was doing that, I can see everybody's voicemail. I can't see your messages, and I know they're getting emailed to you too. Everybody's getting their messages emailed because there's, well, did you get all the information? I got the credentials for Bruce set up, so we get that. Everybody does have a lot of messages in their mailbox, but I don't know if just because it says they're unread there doesn't mean you're not getting the actual text message of it. But there's that.
I love it. It's the best thing ever. Now that my phone rings on Fridays.
That was your fault. Yeah, the AM and PM mixed up.
I was trying.
That's probably sure anything for landing system.
I'm waiting on, we've requested some their landscaping plan of what they're gonna do, in the zone between curbs and sidewalks, and also we've requested.
Did they get the permits from the county?
They still do not have their permit from water sewer. And that was as of last week.
Item 15's been dropped, 16 communications marked.
Other than the usual wonderful stuff that happens in Lake Park, I have really nothing new. The HOA did not have a meeting this month, so there's nothing to report from them.
Pizza place closed down.
They were evicted.
Yeah.
See,
You just,
Ken didn't know that. You brought
Oh,
that
that's
up.
right. They were evicted, there's a sign on the front door, and there's a padlock.
Newsletter information?
Please put in something about trash.
Yeah.
And about street lights, where they can find that link on the website.
You can always put this time of year, don't burn leaves.
Yes,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
that's so bad.
And don't dump your trash, don't dump your yard waste in the common area or in the
Yes.
woods.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Did you mail letters to everybody across from the Veterans Pond that we cleaned up? To not dump
Yes.
their leaves? Okay. I haven't seen anything. I just
Yeah.
knew it was leaf season.
No, I did, but do I need to read?
No, I hadn't looked, no.
They got that White House in there, so there's a
Oh, man.
No, he's not crossing the road with that.
All right, any other newsletter information, just get that. Council comments, Jim?
No comments. Good.
Bruce?
Thank-
Mark?
I'm good.
Steve?
we ought to just keep Western North Carolina in our thoughts and prayers and everything they've been going through this storm. It really opened my eyes more and more to the stormwater and how important it is to get that out of here as quick as we can when it happens. I did go through up here and on the other side, it's always flooded, that whole stream that there was flooded that day, but yeah, it's critical that we keep that at the forefront and remember them in our thoughts and prayers, and also Florida, they're getting ready to have a major storm come through there.
Well, on top of what Steve said, happy 50th. A little bit late,
All right, thank
but he's joined the 50 club this past weekend, so.
It took you that long?
you. Years.
I knew we were old.
I'm over the hill and gone.
Well, I'm on the next cruise.
Ken?
Well, yeah, I will not be at the next meeting. This is, no, my son, so and I won't be able to attend. But it's all right. So if there are things you need to do ahead of time, let me know, and I'll try to check on it. I'll be on, November about at 7th or 8th to about the 15th.
On vacation.
Sort of, I guess, yeah.
Good for you.
I wanted to take my boy to see the Panthers play. Munich, Germany.
Oh, you got tickets to that? Must be nice to be an attorney.
Used hotel points and airport points, so.
Yeah, it's been fine. I told him I'd have a hard time going uptown.
Otherwise, that would be happening.
What a wonderful trip. We're going to stay a few days.
Yeah, we'll be there a week.
Nice.
Enjoy.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Sure. I'd just like to thank everybody. Another good meeting. I just would like to recognize October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I think that's certainly something that maybe that we don't have to worry too much about, but our spouses and our mothers do. That's for sure, and sisters. So just always like to recognize that. Again, praying for Western North Carolina and those folks down in Florida that are going to be done tonight, tomorrow. So thank you all. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Mark made a motion, Jim second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Sure enough.
You're the man.